Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Howling Eye Extreme. This is the first of the new Extreme Primal battles made available by patch 2.1 in Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Awoken. This fight consists of 4 phases, and you'll notice a lot of similarities from previous renditions of the Garuda encounter. Keep those in the back of your mind, and this extreme mode will be easy. My name is Miztech, and I'll be your dungeon guide. In the first phase, the group will have about 20 seconds of freedom to pump out as much easy damage as possible. Garuda has the same base abilities as in previous encounters, but everything does more damage, so the healers need to be ready, and of course, all party members should be mindful of what they're getting hit by. After 20 seconds, the true first phase begins. Garuda will cast Calm Within the Storm, an ability you will recognize from the hard mode encounter, and disappear. Note that every time she transitions into a phase, she will leave behind a number of AoE telegraphs in the area that she vanished from. These telegraphs will place a stacking Windburn debuff on any player hit. Avoid these as much as possible. Although the debuff can be dispelled, it's still a lot of unnecessary damage for the healers to handle. As soon as you see Garuda disappear, it's important to line of sight the north. Garuda will reappear to cast Shriek down the center of the room. Again, this is the same ability that you've seen before. Once she reappears, your tank will take Garuda in between the 2 northernmost pillars, while the group positions themselves around the center as far away from the other pillars as possible to reduce damage done to them. All stuff you should be well versed in from the hard mode. Garuda will summon Razor Plumes and 1 Satin Plume. The Satin Plume needs to be destroyed as fast as possible, and then you can AoE the Razor Plumes. If you take too long to destroy the plumes, your pillars will end up taking far too much damage to mitigate the damage from Reckoning later on. Remember, this first phase is all about saving your pillars. Ideally, your group should be able to DPS Garuda to about 70%, where she will transition to the next phase. However, if your raid DPS is a little lower, be sure to watch out for the next Shriek. It'll come from the east this time, just like the hard mode version. Eventually, Garuda will emote and the storm around the outer room will dissipate. She will also spawn her 2 adds, Superna on the west and Sharada on the east. The 2 adds will have a stacking buff on them the closer they are to each other. So the main tank will take one and take her and Garuda back to the north, while the off tank grabs the other and takes her to the south, as far away from the others as possible. The order that you kill them is up to your raid group, but the bottom line is this. Both adds must be killed before you can resume damage on Garuda. If the adds are still alive when Garuda casts Reckoning, you will wipe, so make sure they're down as soon as possible. Garuda will then teleport to the center of the room, emote, and begin to cast Reckoning. Healers, be ready with your shields and AoE heals. Once Reckoning is cast and all the pillars are destroyed, Garuda will take us into phase 3. Here she'll cast another Calm Within the Storm, minimizing the amount of room your group is able to spread out. She will again spawn a set of Razor Plumes, this time with a new plume called Spiny Plume. Do not kill this plume. This Spiny Plume handles an important mechanic, so keep it alive until you need it. It's important to note that the Spiny Plume does no damage, but instead puts a stacking debuff on its primary target. Should this stat reach 3, you will explode, wiping the raid. As such, the plume must be ping-ponged between the 2 tanks, or even the off-tank and a healer. Garuda will vanish, and begin to cast an unavoidable shriek. Here is where the Spiny Plume comes in. As soon as Garuda disappears, all DPS need to immediately switch and kill the plume. When the plume dies, it will cast a heavy-hitting point-blank AoE. All players need to avoid this, but don't run too far. Once the explosion occurs, a bubble will spawn in the same area, giving any player within it enough wind protection to survive Garuda's shriek. Let's repeat that because it's pretty important. Ignore the Spiny Plume until Garuda teleports away. Once she's gone, all DPS on the Spiny. Avoid the AoE and run into the area as soon as the red telegraph disappears. Stand in the bubble while she does her shriek and survive. Once Garuda returns, we enter phase 4. She will immediately spawn her 2 friends, which should be picked up by the 2 tanks accordingly. She will also summon the familiar green whirlwinds we all love so much from the hard mode encounter. Instead of 1 line of whirlwinds dissecting the room, we now have a stationary cross of whirlwinds separating the room into 4 safe compartments. Once the adds spawn, the main tank will take their add and Garuda to the northeast compartment, while the off tank takes theirs to the southwest compartment, and the ranged and healers will stand in the northwest compartment. This positioning should allow the healers to heal both tanks and the range to target both adds. What's tough about this phase is the Spiny Plume that will also spawn with the 2 adds. Again, you have to keep it alive, just remember not to hold on to it too long. 3 stacks will still wipe you. As soon as you reach 2 stacks, let the other tank know that you're free for a taunt, and bounce it around until you need to use it. Once the adds are down, Garuda will teleport again. Here's your cue to destroy the Spiny Plume and run into its barrier to avoid Garuda's ridiculous AoE. The fight will then return to phase 3, and you'll alternate between phase 3 and 4 back again until Garuda is killed. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.